I froze the second she said it. Enjoying the view. My heart skipped, my mouth went dry, and before my brain could stop me, I answered honestly. You. The word hung between us. Not flirtatious, not playful, just real. I didn't plan that moment. I didn't imagine it would happen like that, and I definitely didn't expect that a single word would change the quiet, careful life I had built around not wanting anything complicated. I've always been the kind of man who keeps his head down. Work, home, repeat. I'm 32, divorced once, no kids, no dramatic backstory, just someone who learned early that mixing emotions with responsibilities can cost you more than you think. She was my CEO, and that alone should have been enough to stop the story before it even began. Her name is Claire, early 40s, confident in a way that doesn't need to announce itself. When she walks into a room, conversations soften, not because people are afraid, but because they want to listen. She built the company from nothing after a brutal divorce that everyone knew about but never talked about. We weren't close at first. We didn't need to be. I was a senior analyst. She signed off on reports. Sometimes she nodded at me in meetings. Sometimes she asked sharp questions that made my palms sweat. That was it. Until the retreat. Every year, the company rented a quiet coastal property for a weekend. Team building, they called it. For me, it was usually 2 days of polite smiles and pretending to enjoy small talk. That morning, I went down early to review presentation. The place was quiet, no meetings yet. I stepped outside to clear my head, and that's when I saw her. Claire was lying by the pool, sunglasses on, hair loose, skin warm under the sun. Not the CEO, not the authority figure, just a woman, relaxed, alone, human. I should have turned back. I know that now, but I didn't. I stood there for a second too long, and that's when she tilted her head and said it, calm, curious, almost amused. Enjoying the view? I could have lied. I could have joked. I could have said sorry and walked away. Instead, I said, you. There was a pause, not awkward, heavy, the kind that pulls you forward instead of pushing you back. She took off her sunglasses slowly, looked at me, really looked. Then she smiled, not wide, not teasing, just soft. Honesty, she said, that's rare. I felt my chest tighten. I apologized immediately, stumbled over my words, tried to explain that I didn't mean to. I know what you meant, she said gently, and you didn't cross a line. Not yet. That should have been the end. It wasn't. Later that day, she sat next to me at lunch, asked about my life, not the resume version, the real one. Asked why I transferred cities, why I worked so late, why I never talked about family. I answered carefully. I always do. She listened, fully. No phone, no distractions. That night, we talked again, and again the next morning, about books, about mistakes, about how loneliness doesn't always look lonely from the outside. I told myself it was harmless, just conversation, but something had already shifted. When we got back to the city, things didn't go back to normal. Emails became warmer. Meetings lingered a little longer. Sometimes she'd ask me to walk with her after work just to talk through ideas. I tried to pull back. I really did. Because she was my CEO. Because power changes everything. Because I'd already failed once at love and didn't trust myself not to ruin it again. But emotions don't disappear just because they're inconvenient. One evening, she asked me to join her for coffee. Public, neutral, safe. We sat across from each other, steam rising between us. I need to ask you something, she said. My stomach dropped. If I were just Claire and not your CEO, would you want to see me? I didn't answer right away, because that question wasn't about attraction. It was about consequences. Yes, I said finally, but that doesn't mean we should. She nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. We set rules, clear ones, transparency, boundaries. If it became messy, we'd stop. For a while, it was careful and quiet. Dinners where we talked more than we touched, walks where our hands brushed but didn't hold, late-night calls where we said everything except the thing we both felt. And slowly, against my better judgment, I fell. Not for the CEO, for the woman who laughed at old movies, for the woman who admitted she was afraid of being alone again, for the woman who looked tired sometimes, even when she pretended she wasn't. The turning point came months later. Another retreat, same place. That afternoon, I walked out to the pool again. This time, I knew she'd be there. She was sunbathing, peaceful, vulnerable in a way she never allowed at work. She smiled when she saw me, didn't hide, didn't pretend. "Enjoying the view?" she asked again. Same words, different weight. I sat beside her this time. "I don't think I ever stopped," I said. She reached for my hand, just for a second, then let go. That night, she told me the truth. About the scrutiny, the board, the rumors, about how any relationship could cost her the company she built with her own hands. "I don't want to hurt you," she said quietly, "or myself." I felt the conflict tear through me, because loving her meant accepting that I might have to lose her. We tried to be practical, tried to slow down, but emotions don't negotiate. The breaking point came when someone noticed. A look held too long, a late meeting that lasted too late. The pressure became real. I offered to leave, find another job, remove the risk. She refused immediately. "I won't let you sacrifice your career for me. I've already taken too much from people I cared about." That hurt more than I expected. We argued, not loudly, carefully, like two people afraid of breaking something fragile. The climax came one quiet evening in her office. She stood by the window, city lights behind her. "If I ask you to walk away," she said, voice shaking, "could you?" I didn't answer right away, because that question wasn't about love. It was about whether love was enough. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I know staying without being honest would destroy us both." She turned to me, tears in her eyes, not dramatic, real. "I wish I met you when things were simpler," she whispered. "So do I." We decided not to end it, not fully. We decided to pause. Space, distance, time. Not a goodbye, not a promise, just honesty. Now, months later, we still work together, professionally, respectfully. Sometimes our eyes meet across a room, and we both remember that moment by the pool. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd looked away that first day. But I don't regret saying the truth, because even if it didn't give us a perfect ending, it gave us something rare. A connection that was real, a love that didn't need to be loud, a memory that still feels warm when I think about it. And some views are worth seeing, even if you can't stay forever. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.